The SoThin suite is varied in its practical application. One such program that illustrates this is XyZ. SoThin XyZ enables IT administrators or managers to dedicate a PC to a single application or task. This allows for restriction of a PC to fulfill a specific function or role within any working environment, such as a kiosk or stand. Allowing the replacement of the Windows shell with a single application of your choice, SoThin XyZ enables you to dedicate a Windows PC to a single application or task for a particular use. When you require only one program to run, whatever the purpose, this program is invaluable. Once configured, SoThin XyZ is akin to a fire and forget solution, ideal for call centers, ticket offices, information terminals, internet cafes, factories, electronic point of sales, and kiosks. SoThin XyZ reduces demand on burdened IT resources, resulting in a lower total cost of ownership. It helps prevent the spread of malicious software and viruses, and prevents data theft or loss, whilst minimizing post-installation technical support. XyZ prevents users from making unauthorized configuration changes or installing software, whilst restricting user access to non-approved programs and applications. It also simplifies security control and access of data. XyZ is suitable for Windows 95, 98, NT4, 2000 and XP, the 32-bit version of the operating system. XyZ will also support all 32-bit applications which will run on the supported operating systems. It is hardware vendor independent and supports the use of local CD, DVD and USB drives, if required. XyZ also supports multiple monitors and has full Microsoft Active Directory integration. It has full printer support and supports mobile internet cards and adapters, which are useful for mobile workers. Full multimedia support is utilized using the local resources of the machine. Okay, let's look at XyZ's simple and easy deployment using the SoThin Management Console. Before the SoThin suite is able to benefit you and your organization, we first need to deploy the software to the client devices. This is done through the software deployment application. Once we've selected the software we want to deploy, we can right-click it and select Deploy Software. Using the SoThin suite, it's also possible to deploy your own software packages as long as they allow for unattended setup routines. Now we've selected the Deploy option, we get prompted to accept the license agreement for the selected software package. This must be accepted to continue with the installation. Once we've accepted the license agreement, we can select which computers to deploy the selected package to. We have the ability to select alternative domains for those with more complex networks, and also the ability to install to as many computers on those domains as we wish. In this example, we're going to be deploying to a single device. Now we're being prompted for administrative credentials. These credentials need to be valid for each selected computer to allow the software to be deployed. The system will attempt to authenticate the supplied credentials. However, if this does not work, the deployment wizard will still attempt to authenticate the installation process with the supplied credentials. Here we have the option of selecting when the install will take place. By default, the machines will be rebooted immediately and deployed to. However, we can unselect this option to allow the software to install itself upon next boot. Okay, now we can see the status of our software deployment. Any computers that fail to install will be shown here as failed, and you'll have the option of running the wizard again on these computers to solve any issues that may have occurred. Now we've moved to the XyZ Device Manager, the application in the management console that allows us to control the behavior of the deployed XyZ devices. Here we're going to open a predefined configuration file. However, on a new setup, you can simply click New Computer to create one of those from scratch. Here we have the configuration options for a SoThin XyZ client. We'll start with the General tab, which allows for the basic configuration options. These include the program that should be used as startup, as well as associated arguments, and also any hotkey combinations that we may wish to disable. We also have the ability to specify what happens if the user closes the XyZ initiated application. We can choose to simply have XyZ reopen the application, display a shutdown dialog, or simply do nothing. Now we need to set an administration password for the device. On each SoThin XyZ device, there is the option of gaining access to the configuration locally by use of a special hotkey combination. This screen will be password protected with the password you specify here. This stops any unauthorized user from gaining access to the local configuration. Many times a network administrator may decide that because the device is a thin client, it serves no purpose to have a user log into the workstation when the application is not user specific. For this reason, we have enabled the option of having an automatic logon function. This allows you to specify credentials which should automatically log the workstation on, thus allowing the user the ability to sit down at an XYZ device and immediately get to work, rather than having to wait for a local logon. We also have the ability of locking down local drives. On some XYZ devices, certain applications may have the ability to browse the computer for data and thus gain access to unauthorized items. Disabling unnecessary drives on the computer closes this potential security issue. Now that we've deployed the software and configured the client, we're going to update the client with the settings we've just specified. By default, all SoThin clients that have a management server specified will check that server every time the application starts, and if any local configuration options don't match what's on the server, the settings will be reapplied from the server to the client. Here we have the option of sending the XYZ settings down to any number of configured devices. Simply select the devices you wish to update and click OK. In a similar method to the software deployment wizard, the Update Desktop screen will show us which of the selected computers were able to receive their updates. Any computers that fail this step may have a firewall or other configuration that may prevent communication with the management console. Even though we've sent the settings to the computer, it's still running as a standard Windows desktop. That is to say that although the software is deployed, the system hasn't yet been converted to run the SoThin client interface. If we now right-click a computer and select Convert Desktops, this allows us to make ready for use any computer with the SoThin client software on. The Convert Desktop window works very much like the Update Desktops window. However, here we have an additional option to turn the selected computers into SoThin XyZ devices or to turn them back into standard Windows desktops. We can highlight multiple options by using the Shift or Control keys. Again, we see the status screen showing which computers were able to receive the command to convert. This screen shows us opening a SoThin remote control connection to the applicable client device to show the finished setup. Here we can see a single full-screen web browser with no functionality other than web browsing. As shown in the General tab of the configuration screen, we have closed the application and have been presented with a shutdown box. We can choose to either log off the current user or to shut down or restart the client device. An important point to take note of here: if we cancel the shutdown box, the application will be reopened. SoThin XyZ is a simple yet powerful addition to the SoThin suite, offering quick and intuitive setup of application-specific, secure machines. It is suitable for internal and external client-side devices, whilst retaining the benefit of simple yet powerful management, either remotely via the SoThin Management Console or via its password-protected local settings. For further information on the SoThin client, other products in the SoThin suite, or to request a download, please go to www.sothin.net. That's www.sothin.net.